Okay, I'm taping. You can't see me. That's me. Amateur video. So what I'm doing here is tying for a Hawaiian sling. You know, you see them that they sell these with the wrapped aluminum heads. These you can buy anywhere. This is just a standard aluminum head I got from Spearfishing World. And the band, it doesn't matter what you use, but this happens to be a 5/16 by 3/32 wall thickness. 5/16 outer diameter and wall is 5/16, which is a lighter band. And the first thing you do is, and there's no information on the internet on this, I just sort of figured it out after a long time of trial and error. I sort of pieced it together, and I think this is the way they must do it because it works out looking pretty much the same. But the first part of this is you fix the band using one of these nylon strips. This is pretty easy. Get it in the vise tight because you don't want this thing coming loose on you and taking out a knuckle. So pull it just like that. I don't really know how much, but I pull it just like that so it sort of flattens a bit. Then I give this a tug. Okay. And then make sure it doesn't pop off. Make sure it's roughly centered. You can sort of move it around a little until it's centered. And then I clip this off. Okay? Then the next step is you get yourself some nylon string. I don't know what this is exactly, but you can recognize it. It's your typical nylon string. You get about no more than an arm's length like this. You know, 3-4 feet is more than enough. And I just cut it using a flame. Like that. Then, and this is the key part that I figured out, you cut another piece that's maybe about 8 inches long, like this. Okay. All right. We're going to keep that. You'll see what we use that for in a minute. Now we'll take the string that we made, that I dropped, and what I do to get it started is I take my pliers and I pull it away from the aluminum and then just drop this string through. And that gives it a hold, if you see. And now what I do is I pull it through and just loop it around one more time, just to hold it in place. So I went on the inside and now I just loop it around once. It may be hard to see, but all I'm really doing is fixing that line by looping it around this. And you want it to be, this will be the top, and I'm going to be winding in this direction, so you want it to be close to the top but not too close because you want the rubber to bulge out and sort of keep the string in place. So this looks about good where it is. This bottom string that's hanging out, what I do is just burn that off and make sure it's sort of short because you don't want a lot of extra stuff. Okay? Now this is the interesting part. This is going to be our pull line. It's a little short, so I'm going to make it a longer one. Okay, and the idea is that now we lay this pull line under here going this way. So the loop is on this side. It'll make sense in a minute. And then when we wind, we cover this, boop, 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 like that. And then at the very end, we put the line through there and pull it through, and that pulls it underneath, and you'll see how that works. So get this guy like that, and I sort of try to let it get in the groove there. And then I put gloves on, because I'm old and I'm a pussy. And my skin's so thin, the last time I did this without gloves, I tore off the whole epidermis. All right, so now the simple part. You can see I have my loop. I got both ends of the loop here that later I'll use for pulling. and I got the loop sort of down here on the metal part of it. And now I do the winding. So now I get a good grip. And I pull it. You don't have to go real tight, just mediocre. But the important thing is just have one layer, right? So make sure there's no space in between, and you just have, I don't know how to describe it, but you just have a nice even row of one layer. You don't want to cross it or anything like that, because that may be a potential area to get loose. By the way, I haven't tested any of these, so I have no idea how durable they are, but they seem awful damn tight, and it seems just as good as the ones you buy, so I'm thinking that they're going to be fine. So I go down about that far. I started this probably a little bit too far down, but I think it'll probably still be okay. And I might stop right about there. Now, hold it like this. You don't have to be too anal about holding it too tight. Cut this line off just so you can manage it a little easier. And now, hold it like this. Now we put this line through the loop, all right? So it just flops through the loop. Now you're gonna see what's gonna happen. Now we grab this loop like this and we pull, okay? And don't get caught up around things like I did. I'm not sure what I'm looking at now. This never happened before, but of course when you film it's expected, right? All right, there I got my loop again. I want to go through that hole. Put a little hair around it. That goes right in. All right, now hold this like that, tight. Back with our loop. Now watch, this is the interesting part. If you pull, you'll see I'm right about in the middle. I've pulled that loose piece in. Now I take this part and just burn it off. And while it's still hot and melting, I pulled a little more just to get it in there good. And in this case, it didn't go all the way in, but it doesn't matter. You can burn it off. And that's it. Oh, and this is the nice part. This loop is just, we used it temporarily, right? So just pull that out like that. That just comes right out, unless some crap, but it doesn't matter. Take off our nylon tie. Make sure you don't cut the tube. I did that once and you wasted all your efforts. All right. And this one didn't turn out too good. You see, I pulled it a little too tight and I pulled it down. I have other ones I can show you that are perfect. But it should look just like that on the other side. And the loop trick, what that allows you to do is sort of pull it in so you don't have any knots in the whole thing. This really wasn't a good one, but I've had others that are much better. You just have to be careful there and not let that happen. But it ain't going anywhere. I mean, it works. This is perfectly functional, so I'll keep it. That's it. Thanks.